3 months ago, I bought the Canon 35mm f2 lens, thinking it'd be great to use every now and then. But surprisingly, since then, the lens hasn't really left my camera body that much. And that's due to several different reasons. So yeah, today we're talking about that lens and why it is the best budget lens you can buy. So it's a budget lens, but it's not cheap by any means. You'll find one of these lenses for about $750 or 500 US. Personally, I think there are very few lenses you'll find below that price range that are actually worth buying. Because let's be real here, if you're looking for lenses for a DSLR, you probably want to shoot professionally looking images, not images that you can probably just achieve with a point and shoot. And you'll really struggle to get beyond that look with certain kit lenses. The low-level prime lenses are similar in price to the kit lenses, but are significantly superior optically. Investing in good glass is way more important than investing in a good body. And lenses on a budget that are of a professional quality are few and far in between. But there are a few, and most notably of all is the nifty 50. Canon's f1.8 50mm lens, which is almost a quarter of the price of the 35mm, and it's great. It is by far the best value for money you will ever find in a lens. But you need a little bit more than value for money to have the best budget lens. With the way that I shoot, I always like to maintain a sense of honesty and reality, and with the 35mm, I feel like that comes a lot more easier than it does with the 50. There's a lot of talk online about what focal length our eyes see the world as, and the results of that are pretty much entirely inconclusive, because ultimately our eyes are eyes, they aren't cameras, so it's pretty hard to describe them as cameras. But a lot of people tend to agree that the perspective of human eyesight is about that of a 40 to 45mm lens on a full frame camera, smack bang between the two standard lenses of the 35mm and the 50mm. And to me, a 50mm lens is just that little bit too tight. I prefer the extra wideness that you get from a 35mm lens. Ultimately, it's just a matter of opinion and taste, but with the 35mm, you guide the eye a little less with the compositions that you make. Whereas with the 50, you sort of force the audience to react to the image in a certain way. Perhaps it's because I'm a filmmaker, and filmmakers generally prefer that wider feel, but I really like that extra space where you can choose where to look in a composition. And yeah, all of this discussion is very interesting, and I'd like to continue it in the comments down below. But now we've actually got to get to the solid reasons as to why this lens is so great. It is incredibly well built. It's not an L series lens, but I would trust it in most conditions that I shoot. It also is a relatively new lens from 2012, which means it has an ultrasonic motor, which is super snappy, super fast. It is really great for autofocus and doesn't make any sound really. And as well as that great autofocus motor, it has image stabilization, which for people like me who still shoot Canon, that is so important, because Canon cameras still don't have in-body image stabilization, and we need that optical stabilization where we can. So good to have this. The nifty 50 doesn't have IS, so for video on a Canon camera, it's not so good. And as well as all of that, the Canon 35 f2 is just about 300 grams. It is super lightweight, and because of that, I practically take it everywhere with me. It's a great focal length for grabbing individual and group portraits, and it's f2, so it's great in low light as well. I'm guaranteed to take this lens with me every time I go and hang out with my friends. And finally, just another little bit of opinion, I absolutely love shooting wide with a shallow depth of field. It looks like medium format, and it's just honestly just really beautiful, and I love that kind of feeling in an image. So yeah, I really think the Canon 35mm f2 lens is the best budget lens you can buy, especially on a full frame camera, but also on crop sensors, because in the end of the day, on a crop sensor, it works out to be pretty much a 50mm lens as well. It's a great lens. I've used it to film this entire video, other than the shots, of course, in which the lens is featured. And every single photograph I've shown as well has been shot on this lens. It's just great. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. By the way, if you haven't noticed, I'm not at home. I'm actually in Cairns at the moment, visiting my mother, who's just ever so slightly out of frame to the side. I'm headed to Japan in just a few days, and the next video that you see from me will be from Osaka, which is just, it's very cool and very exciting, and I can't wait to be there. If you want to make sure that you see what I get up to there, make sure to subscribe to this channel, and also follow me on Instagram. My username is @DanielAllen. You can check out all the cool pictures and stories I put together. I'm really excited. There's going to be so much content, so make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell if you actually want to see when I put up stuff, and like this video if you liked it, or maybe dislike it if you didn't like the lens. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week from Osaka. Bye.